2025 Nissan Rogue. Not the first, second, third, or fourth, but the fifth best-selling compact SUV in America. If you have any sort of streaming service with commercials, there's a very large chance you've seen these being pushed extremely hard by Nissan. With Nissan going through some very well-documented financial troubles, some of the prices on these things are very tempting. Let's talk about, is it worth the buy? We're going to go over what's underneath the hood, the driving experience, and how it compares to some other vehicles in the segment. First, let's go over some of the exterior styling a little bit. So this is going to be a very big update. It went away from that sloped, rounded off design that was very reminiscent of the mid-2000s, and now they're going with more of a rugged look. You still have some of the older Nissan SUV DNA up front, but everything else looks pretty rugged. Got about 8.3 inches of ground clearance here. I wouldn't recommend doing any serious off-roading with this Rogue, but if you live in a place with a lot of gravel, dirt, and mud, I think you will be pretty fine. It comes stock with these 18-inch black and chrome alloy wheels. You got a lot of aggressive, hard body lines all over this thing, trying to really give it that rugged appeal. It's going to come equipped with a lot of standard safety features like your monitoring on the side, your monitoring on the rear. This thing has 360 safety monitoring that you can actually check out through the dashboard, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, the new updated exterior styling of this Rogue is great, but what's going to come underneath the hood is a turbocharged 1.5 liter 3-cylinder motor. Yes, just like the Ford Escape, we have another 3-cylinder vehicle in the compact SUV segment. It's going to be putting out 225 pound-feet of torque paired with 201 horsepower. So it's going to be very comparable to your RAV4 in horsepower and torque. Downside is that 3-cylinder turbocharged engine is going to be paired with a CVT or continuously variable transmission. So although the horsepower specs are pretty solid, that CVT makes this 3-cylinder motor feel pretty sluggish. One great thing about these 3-cylinder motors is you're gonna get some pretty good gas mileage. This is rated at up to 30 miles per gallon in the city and about 37 miles per gallon on the highway. Obviously, that's going to depend on where you live and your driving conditions. Me personally, I'm averaging about 26 in the city and about 32 on the highway for actual real world driving. And since we do have our push button start, let's check out how the exhaust sounds on this thing.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Your interior of your Nissan Rogue is going to be pretty solid. You're going to have a leather wrapped steering wheel that feels pretty good to the touch. There's actually quite a bit of soft touch materials in here, so they didn't cheap out with all plastic. You're going to have your soft touch materials here and here and here, and this honestly is really the only main part where you're going to have that plastic feel. In terms of your space, you're going to be very similar to your Toyota RAV4. They're both going to have 41 inches of leg room in the front, and you're going to have about 38.5 inches of leg room in the back, which is 1 inch more than that Toyota RAV4. If you are a family man or woman, I don't know if this would be my first pick for a family vehicle, but it is definitely doable if you had 2 or maybe, just maybe even 3 car seats. But you're going to have this digital gauge cluster that gives you different kind of information. You can check your surroundings in terms of who's behind you, what's behind you, as well as 360 view all the way around the car. But it's going to be paired with a regular analog gauge cluster. So I do like that they blend a little bit of old with the new here. We're going to have an 8-inch touchscreen that is decent. To be honest, it's a little bit slow to the touch. Things don't quite happen as soon as you touch them. There's almost this little bit of delay. I do like that on top of the touchscreen, you do have actual physical knobs. So everything here isn't going to be digital. You have your 2 USB ports here, and in this Nissan Rogue S, you do not get wireless CarPlay. Honestly, one of the most impressive things about this Nissan Rogue interior is going to be all the storage you get. Like, I can put my full-size water bottle here in the door. I can't do that even in my mid-size SUV. You got all kinds of nooks and storage crannies underneath. A pretty deep thing right here where you can put your arm all the way into.
That's what she said.
Got that same amount of storage over there on the passenger seat. Obviously your cup holders up front, a place to set your phone down. I'm assuming on the higher trims you can have wireless charging there. Coming to the back, you also have these really big and deep cup holders here, change sections here. A must-have in any vehicle is going to be climate for the back, and you also have 2 extra USB-C ports to hook up any phones or anything you need to charge in the back for road trips. Coming to the back, you know I love a good automatic lift gate, especially on a lower trim, because that's something you don't get too often. Storage back here is pretty solid as well. They give you a first aid kit that comes with the car. Also, there's some more storage there and there. And in here, they also give you some chargers and random things along with the vehicle. You slide this out underneath, you have a little bit more storage, and you have your spare tire, which in 2025 is not always a guarantee. So I do like that. So this 2025 Nissan Rogue is gonna start out at just under $30,000. And from what I've seen in terms of pricing in my area, dealerships are willing to work a little bit. Now, obviously, if you get a lower trim, there's gonna be less wiggle room. Obviously, the higher trim vehicles have much more leeway from invoice to sale price. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the driving experience of this 2025 Nissan Rogue. So the driving experience in this thing isn't gonna be extremely exciting, and to be honest, I don't think that anybody that's in the market for a Nissan Rogue is going to be buying it because they think it's gonna be exciting. You're buying a Nissan Rogue because you're looking for a daily commuter that's gonna be relatively good on gas and not break the bank. It's not gonna be extremely quick, not gonna be extremely fast, but one thing that it is actually very smooth and very refined. Like, it feels just fine to drive. At 6'2", I'm pretty comfortable in here. Everything feels good. It feels nice. I don't feel like I'm cramped. I have some pretty good leg room and leg space, and it's a pretty cozy, comfortable ride. I can see myself doing a pretty solid road trip in this vehicle with no issues, no problems at all. And like I said, I have been getting some pretty decent gas mileage in here. I've been averaging about 25 or 26 miles in the city and about 32 on the highway. But to be fair, I drive with kind of a lead foot. If you're a slow driver and live in a more flat region or area, you might be able to get a little bit closer to that 37 miles per gallon on the highway and that 30 miles per gallon in the city. Although I am not fully sold on these 3-cylinder motors, that is one of the benefits. That really good gas mileage rating, especially on the highway. My only beef with them is if you're going to be making these cheaper, smaller engines, I think that should reflect in a smaller, cheaper price. The compact SUV market is pretty flooded. There's a lot of options. You got your CR-V from Honda, your Toyota RAV4, your Mazda CX-5, Mazda CX-50, your Chevy Equinox. Subaru has a couple in the segment. This is just one of, if not the most popular car segment in America. So with that being said, would you choose this Nissan Rogue over all of those other options? Me personally, I would definitely pick this over the Ford Escape, and I might even choose it over the Chevy Equinox. Am I gonna choose it over a Honda CR-V? Am I gonna choose it over a Toyota RAV4? A Mazda CX-50?
No way. Not this time. No.
At this price point and at the value that they pack in this thing, I wouldn't be mad at anyone if they went with this vehicle. I think it's a lot better than its outgoing model, and Nissan does continue to improve this vehicle every single generation. Maybe one day they'll smarten up and put an actual, just simple automatic transmission in this thing rather than the CVT. I don't think I'd ever buy it personally, but I think it would make a really great rental. And although I'm not blown away, I am overall impressed. What are your thoughts of this 2025 Nissan Rogue? Let me know down in the comments. What should we review next?